welcome back. For those of you just joining us, I'm Keely here in Red on the Rock, giving you a wave so you can see the voice it's coming from. Again, welcome to the 1 o'clock and first Dolphin Show of the day. So everyone here still pretty excited to see some dolphins? Yeah. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that you're still excited to see dolphins, given that many of you have likely seen them before. In fact, how many of you have ever seen a whale, dolphin, or porpoise? And keep in mind, the whole group can be called cetaceans. Has anybody ever seen any cetacean out in the open ocean before? Any whale, dolphin, porpoise out in the open ocean? A number of you? See, you're so excited. That's great. And I'm here to tell you today that we here at Vancouver Aquarium actually love to hear about those stories of when you see cetaceans off the coast of British Columbia. Because it's with your help telling researchers about what you've seen that it helps uncover some pretty important secrets about these mammals, which is so incredibly important to their survival. And of course, today we're not taking a look at all cetaceans, we're taking a look at a particular type of dolphin, a unique species that was a very important part of our coastline. People used to see them all the time about 2,000 years ago. We know that from archaeological records. But then, strangely, those dolphins completely disappeared. When we saw them for the longest time. Stranger still was the fact that these dolphins suddenly reappeared, looking a lot like this, on the northern coast of British Columbia, or Vancouver Island, in 1959. A pretty incredible sight to see. It was, though, a little bit tricky for those early fishermen to try and identify and confirm that it was that dolphin species that had disappeared and was coming back. Because, I mean, look at them, they're so quick. Identification was a little bit tough, but eventually, yes, they confirmed that it was those dolphins coming back. And those dolphins, these dolphins, they're known as Pacific Whitesided dolphins. We are going to be joined by two beautiful Pacific Whitesided dolphins here this afternoon. We've gotten a quick glimpse of them already, but for a better look, keep your eyes on the dock. Here they are. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Helen and Hannah. This is a fantastic first one. Let's give these ladies a nice big round of applause. And as much as it looks like these dolphins are here by themselves, they're not actually. We're joined by some trainers as well. Here they're coming. This is Paula here up front and Leonora rather behind her. And I did mention that they are working today with Helen and Hannah to try and introduce them to you individually. Helen is the dolphin that's closer to myself. She's in her mid-20s. And to meet Hannah, just watch in the center. There she is. Hannah is the younger in her late teens. And you see, these two dolphins, they actually have an incredible story of rescue and survival. This is a story that Paula knows well, and she might be able to share with us.
And Keely, both of our dolphins are what are referred to as rescued and rehabilitated animals. They were both found entangled in fishing nets off the coast of Japan. They were then taken to rehabilitation centers where they were deemed non-releasable. But luckily for us, they found permanent homes here at the Wild Coast. Now working with me today is the beautiful Helen. Helen has been here since 2005, and we have been able to build and maintain a strong relationship with her in order to provide her with the best possible care through training and regular checkups. Everything that we learned through her healthcare helps veterinarians and researchers to gain a better understanding of this mysterious species. In fact, every day that we work with them reveals more information not only about their species, but also their individual personalities, which, believe it or not, are just as different as you and I. But most importantly, Hannah and Helen teach us that we still have so much to learn about cetaceans.
Thanks, Paula. We certainly do have a lot to learn about these leaping cetaceans, but when it comes to these Pacific Whitesided dolphins in particular, we do know a few things. For example, we do know that they are found all across the North Pacific Ocean, from the north coast of Mexico up to Alaska and over to Japan and Russia. And because of that rather wide range, I'm curious to know whether or not any of you have ever seen or noisy dolphins like Helen before. So have any of you ever seen a Pacific Whitesided dolphin off our coast? Okay, so 2 of you, 3 or so. It kind of makes sense because they are just a recent re-arrival. I said we saw them in '59, but it's been pretty sporadic since then. It's only been the past 5 years or so that we're seeing them with any regularity. And when people see them, we would love for you to tell us at the BC Cetacean Sightings Network. It's a Vancouver Aquarium Research and Conservation Program, and you can reach us at the website wildwhales.org. By telling us when, where, and how many of these individuals you've seen, it helps researchers answer those important questions. Like how many of these dolphins even live off our coast in the first place, because, well, we still don't know. And by telling us where you saw them, we can get a better sense as to whether or not these leaping dolphins are hanging out in areas where there's a heavier fisheries presence. In other words, that it might be more likely to be entangled in a net. So this information really does go a long way. But if you do see something out on the water, how can you be sure it's a Pacific Whitesided dolphin? Well, there's a few key characteristics to look out for, and one of those things is that distinctive coloration, that gray, black, and white along their top and sides. But right now they're showing off a type of camouflage known as counter shading. They have those white bellies and dark tops. That different coloration helps them blend in with their environment, so they're not easily seen from predators or prey at different angles. Another great way to identify these dolphins is based on their size. Here's a good look at the size of Helen. So most Pacific Whitesided dolphins are about 2.3 meters or 7.5 feet. That means that these dolphins are larger than harbor porpoises, like the harbor porpoises Jack and Daisy in the habitat to my right. But of course, these dolphins are significantly smaller than the killer whales that many of us tend to encounter along the British Columbia coast. But when it comes to identifying individuals, one of the best things to look for is that big tall fin off their back. That's called the dorsal fin. I'm going to encourage you to try and get a picture of Hannah's dorsal fin now as she speeds around the habitat. And if you really look at her dorsal fin, it's very triangular like a shark's. Now take a look at Helen as her dorsal fin is out of the water. It's very curved and has a pointed tip. These kinds of differences in shape and coloration is, again, in fact, what allows us to identify individuals and help track that population and get a sense of how many individuals there are. But as much as you might want to get as close as possible to photograph these dolphins, I'm going to tell you that you really can't be getting too close. It's mandatory in Canadian waters to maintain a distance of 100 meters or 400 feet. That's roughly 10 times the length of the dock that you see here. Don't worry, even from far away, it's still possible to identify these Pacific Whitesided dolphins. After all, they are considered to be one of the most acrobatic species of dolphin in the world, and this might be why. Not only are they acrobatic, though, a lot of people will actually hear these dolphins before they see them. And some of those dolphin sounds are a bit along the lines of this. Dolphin Symphony. Let's give these ladies a round of applause. And again, you never know where you might see or hear these dolphins. Sometimes people find them on the ferries between Vancouver and Vancouver Island. Some people have even seen them on the seawall right here in Stanley Park. And these increased sightings that the Vancouver Aquarium Species Cetacean Sightings Network have been getting have been showing us that dolphins are facing an increased number of threats. Everything from fishing nets to oil and gas pollutants, noise, all of this can have a big impact on these dolphins. And as Paula mentioned, these threats are something that Helen and Hannah know about firsthand. If you take a look at Helen, you may have noticed that her pectoral or side flippers are a bit different than Hannah's. And that's because of her injuries after being entangled in that fishing net. Her fins needed to be partially removed in order to save her life. But if there's anything we've been seeing during this dolphin show today, it's that Helen can do anything that any other dolphin can do. And that means that she can also participate in some pretty incredible research, helping us to try and make sure that the same thing doesn't happen to other dolphins out there. But there's a variety of research projects these acrobatic animals participate in, and one of those important research studies was trying to figure out how much energy it takes for a dolphin to be a dolphin, because usually we do tend to think of them doing those big leaps and acrobatics, behaviors like this. But we weren't just wondering how they could leap, we were also wondering how they could move so fast. After all, they do have those beautiful hydrodynamic and torpedo-shaped bodies that allow them to travel at some pretty incredible speeds. They can, from time to time, travel at speeds of around 35 kilometers an hour or 22 miles. So how do you figure out how much fish it takes to do all that? Oddly enough, by asking these dolphins to stay still. Yeah, they stayed still inside a piece of research equipment known as a metabolic dome that would float on the surface of the water. And as the dolphins were breathing inside that dome, a computer measured how much carbon dioxide and oxygen they were breathing out did some fancy calculations, and finally in 2012 showed us that these dolphins need 15,500 calories every day to do this. That's about 68 salmon or 88 herring every day. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to keep up with these dolphins and what they eat in a day, try eating about 50 cheeseburgers in a single day or 188 apples. Yeah, each and every individual dolphin needs access to a lot of fish. And that's why that research and that sightings information we get from wildwhales.org is so important. Because this information can actually help us to guide fisheries management programs right here in British Columbia to help ensure that these dolphins always have access to the 68 salmon that they need every day. So it is important what we can do with your help. This is a citizen science project that you can take part in. It's with your help that researchers will reveal the secrets of these marine mammals, which is so incredibly important to their survival. And we'd like to then take a moment to thank all of you for coming through our doors, because we are a self-supporting nonprofit organization dedicated to the conservation of aquatic life. It's your admission. If you purchase anything at a cafe or gift shop, it goes right back to supporting research programs like that metabolic research and research and conservation programs like the BC Cetacean Studies Network at wildwhales.org. So on behalf of myself, Paula, and Leonora, and of course, the ever beautiful and acrobatic Helen and Hannah, here's one last beautiful splashy look. And a wave goodbye. Thanks everyone. Have a fantastic work around here in Vancouver.